English. Oui. My name is Tiffy. I am here to help you through the world of magical tales. This is my book. Do you see? Click on my book with the magic ring, and the tale will begin. The bell switches the music on and off. This is my scroll. Click on the scroll when you want to read the tale as well as hear it. There are secrets hidden in some pictures for you to play with. When you want to play, just click on the ball. And if you press on the fan, you can choose any page you want from the story. Here are my little horns. They will take you forward and backward through the pages of the story. Here is my tail. If you click on my tail, the tail will stop and I will fly away.
Far, far away lies a wonderful land. In this land are 3 towns, Frivolton, Blockheadton, and the town where the old woodcarver Geppetto lived in his little house. In the very same town was the most wonderful theatre, which stood on the central square. In this theatre, the actors were not people, but puppets. On the very same square, there was a school to which the children of the town went every day. And every day on their way to school, the children would run past the house of the old woodcarver. And every day Geppetto would sigh. He so wanted a child. One day, Geppetto had the most wonderful idea. Why don't I carve myself a boy out of wood? Why? He'll be as lively as a real boy and as obedient as a puppet. And with that, Geppetto set off for the shop, where he exchanged his only coat for a large book, so his boy might be able to go to school once he was made. As soon as he reached home, Geppetto took up his tools and began to carve a little wooden person. I'm gonna call him Pinocchio. In no time at all, there on the workbench stood a proper little boy, only his nose was a little too long. Well, your nosy can wait. What you need to do today is to get yourself to school on time. And with that, the woodcarver gave Pinocchio the book and pointed out the way to school. Lovely day.
Here, what you doing?
Pinocchio stepped out of Geppetto's little house and looked about in wonder.
First I'll learn to read, and then I'll learn to count. Then I'll earn lots of money and buy a fine coat for dear Papa. But that could...
Pinocchio stepped out of Geppetto's little house and looked about in wonder.
First I'll learn to read, and then I'll learn to count. Then I'll earn lots of money and buy a fine coat for dear Papa. But that could take ages. No, I know. I'll go to the theatre and be an actor. Then I can buy 3 coats. Surely actors don't need to read or do sums anyway.
Help Pinocchio make the right decision. Place the magic ring where you think he ought to go. To school, the theatre, or the shop?
I've got one.
Pinocchio got to the brightly coloured curtain which hung over the theatre entrance in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. But things are never as simple as they seem, and he was stopped by an angry voice. "You've got to buy a ticket!" But Pinocchio kept his head. He handed over his book and received a ticket in exchange. Rubbish! Law!
Hooray!
Rubbish! Pinocchio was quite shocked to see puppet actors tied up,
Who dared tie you up like that?
and he jumped up onto the stage.
It was I, the master, the theatre manager. And you? I'm going to throw you on the fire.
But Pinocchio turned out to be quite a good actor. So good, in fact, that the theatre manager not only did not throw Pinocchio on the fire, but he even gave him the money to buy Geppetto a new coat.
I'm going to run and buy a coat for Papa as quick as I can.
The shop was closed for lunch.
Out you go.
The shop was closed for lunch, so Pinocchio went for a wander instead. Pinocchio was too young to know that trouble is always lying in wait for boys who like to wander. He happened upon a fox who was lame in one leg and a cat who was completely blind. They came up to him and invited him to have lunch with them at the Red Crab Tavern, as though they were old friends. On hearing, as they ate a tasty meal, on hearing, as they ate a tasty meal, about Pinocchio's dream of buying his father 3 coats, the cat and the fox told the boy about Blockheadton and a certain field there. One had simply to bury a few coins in this field and wait a mere 20 minutes for a whole tree to grow. Instead of leaves, the tree would be laden with the most wonderful coats, each one with shiny gold buttons. Pinocchio did not mind at all.
Morning.
Pinocchio did not mind at all that it was he who had to pay for the meal. He thought to himself,
Should I really be in such a rush to get to the shop just to buy 1 coat, when if I wait till evening, I could give dear Papa 1,000 new coats?
His new friends, the cat and the fox, showed Pinocchio the road to Blockheadton, and after a respectful farewell, departed. You have guessed, of course, that the cat and the fox Bonjour, madame. You have guessed, of course, that the cat and the fox were not kind-hearted fellows at all, but real live robbers.
Let's lie in wait here.
Yes, it's as good a place as any. They waited for nightfall, then tracked the careless Pinocchio as he made his way along the road before they attacked. Pinocchio was a strong boy, and he kicked wildly with his sturdy wooden legs and hid the money in his mouth. Nevertheless, the robbers managed to hang him upside down on the branch of a tree.
He'll have to open his mouth sooner or later, and the money will be ours.
With that, they left. But Pinocchio did not give in. But Pinocchio did not give in. He managed to free first one leg and then the other, and made his escape. He wandered listlessly in search of help and sympathy, and found himself at the house of a fairy with light blue hair, who simply adored helping little boys get well. There were pills and castor oil and confinement to bed. Our hero made a speedy recovery when he heard that there was even a chance of injections. So now you know just how to... So now you know just how difficult Pinocchio's journey was to that field of promised miracles on the edge of Blockheadston. Pinocchio carefully dug a hole and put all the money he had received from the theatre manager into it.
I really ought to water it so it will grow great big coats and not little ones.
And so he set off to fetch water. One need hardly say what happened once he left. Pinocchio was very surprised to see his... Pinocchio was very surprised to see his old friends in Blockheadston, and was even more surprised when they started yelling at the top of their voices.
Stop, thief!
And then they called the police. We should not forget to mention that all the boys and We should not forget to mention that all the boys and girls in that country who just took themselves off to wander about whenever they felt like it were taken to school in a police cart. Then they were ordered to do their lessons. This is what happened to Pinocchio. He was dumped in front of the school and was about to go in when he met a boy called Wick.
Forget it. Let's get the wagon to Frivolton. You can win 1,000 coats there as easy as pie. And if you're lucky, even 10,000 coats. 10,000 coats? Core!
The wagon was already full. The wagon was already full of boys. It was packed with them, like sardines packed in a tin. But nobody complained or grumbled. The boys were so gloriously happy to be going to a town where there were no books, no schools, and no teachers that they could only smile. Frivolton was like no other. Frivolton was like no other town in the world. It was populated only by children. They played conkers, marbles and football. They rode their bicycles, pranced on their hobby horses and played blind man's buff. They chased each other, they sang and turned somersaults. They walked on their hands and they clapped and whistled and laughed. Pinocchio flew. Pinocchio flew straight into an amusement arcade with lots of gaming machines. And straight away, a whole stream of gold coins fell right into his hands. He turned round to show Wick, but Wick had turned into a donkey. Pinocchio felt Donkey's ears growing out of his head too. Pinocchio fled to the seashore. Pinocchio fled to the seashore to get as far away as he could from the strange town where boys who forget themselves and live only for entertainment are turned into little donkeys. Coincidences such as this are probably only to be found in fairy tales. But there, on a raft, was Geppetto the woodcarver. He had given up waiting for his boy and had gone looking for him. But the most terrible thing occurred. A huge shark, after sleeping for many, many years, yawned a long and delicious yawn, which swept father and son down into its belly.
Papa Geppetto, I got... Papa Geppetto, I got the money for a new coat for you.
Pinocchio! I found your book by the school. I would rather freeze for a lack of a coat than have a son with a donkey's ears.
I don't know whether you would have been strong enough to leave those gold coins behind, but that is exactly what Pinocchio did.
I'm still going to get a coat for my dear Papa. The only right thing to do is
Oh, man.
Here.
Sorry. The only right thing to do is exchange the book for a coat for Papa.
Pinocchio knocked on the door, but the shopkeeper did not want his book. Pinocchio began to cry, but through his tears he saw the kind face of his dear papa Geppetto. My dear good Pinocchio, this book is called The Little Master Craftsman, and if you read it, you will learn how to make 1,000 of the most wonderful coats. Very soon, everyone in the town had received a new coat from Pinocchio. Nobody laughed at Pinocchio for being a wooden person. No, he was respectfully known by all as our master craftsman. You have seen the fairy tale about Pinocchio, the merry wooden boy. Now you can go on a journey along with him and help him make a coat for the old master woodcarver, Geppetto. Remember to collect the things you find along the way, as you may need them later. Are you ready? Then let's go.
Just take a look at this book. It's not just any old one. If you read it, you will learn something.
Never mind about school. Better to come with me. I know a great place not far from here.
Hello, hello, hello. What's all this then?
school, better to come with me. I know a great place not far from here.
Do you want the story to end? Goodbye, my little friend.